this video, we're headed to Paradise Dragstrip in Calhoun, Georgia for the Thrills on the Hill event. This is a swap meet, a car show, and a drag race. Now, the drag racing action isn't super serious racing. It's mostly fun runs and a test and tune session, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. And we had a special time this event because we brought the Henry J out for its first real outing at a drag strip. So we're going to get into some of the action here, but stay tuned for another video that's going to document some of those final stages of the Henry J build and some of those moments that led up to this first debut of the car. So a lot of exciting stuff there. Let's get into the action. Now, me and my dad have been to this event dozens of times, and our routine is typically to go through the swap meet first thing in the morning. And there's always some really cool vintage stuff and some very peculiar stuff like this Morris Minor that's been put on some sort of four-wheel drive chassis that's been shortened down. It's got 40-inch tall tires on it, small block Chevy engine. It is a wild and crazy four-wheel drive combination, and I really love this thing. And it was priced pretty reasonably, $3,000. Obviously, you'd need some new tires. It needs a lot of work to kind of finish this thing out. But where else are you going to see a jacked up Morris Minor? And this thing, you know, it doesn't look to be rotted out. It doesn't look to be too badly fabricated. It's definitely a weird and wild combination that would turn a lot of heads out on the road. For sure, the deal of the day, and we were the ones to get it, was this little quarter midget race car. Now, this thing looks just like a little go-kart, but the fact of the matter is, these things were built really nicely, and they had these fiberglass bodies that looked like an early sprint car or even an early Indy car. And you can see how it sets right on there. The frame is built out of steel. It's got the coolest little front axle. You can see it's made out of aluminum, and it has a transverse leaf spring just like an old 32 Ford. This thing is so cool. Now, it doesn't have an engine, doesn't have some pieces, but you could really make a cool little hot rod out of this thing with just a little bit of work. Moving on into the drag racing pits, the first thing that got my attention was this 65 Chevelle station wagon. This thing's obviously pretty serious. You can see they've put Lexan quarter windows in it. It's got beadlocks on the back, a big cowl hood. But for the most part, this looks like an all-steel car. So pretty neat piece, and it was pretty fast too. I never got to see this one make a pass, but this is a cool-looking pro street car. You can see right here, big block Chevy, blower, 2 4s, Hilburn-style scoop, and everything is blacked out. Satin black everything. Satin black on the trim, the wheels, the bumpers. This is a sinister looking car. 67 Novas are already extremely cool and a great body style, but this one is even better with that bad to the bone stance, big motor, roll cage. I mean, it has all the right elements for a killer pro street car. Here's a cool looking Camaro, and this one's a little more of a pro touring style, but you can see that vinyl top. It's got a great stance. It's got cool stripes, big cowl hood, and under that hood, it has a supercharged LS motor. This thing's got some serious horsepower, and I saw him launch it. I didn't get a video of it, but it did something crazy with the rear end. I'm not sure what broke underneath this car, but it just about made a big mess on the track. It was a good thing he didn't wreck it. There was a lot of cool Chevys at the show, and this is another great example. 56 Chevy, you can see Moody Blue there on the door, 427 cubic inch designations on the fender, and this thing's got a killer look to it. Got white fender well headers, velocity stacks sticking up out of the hood, of course no front bumper, skinny Americans on there, and this thing is a 4-speed. Here's another gasser, this time a Ford Falcon. We can see that this one's got fiberglass components up here. It's got that teardrop scoop, and I got to see this car make a pass. He didn't get to make too many passes because he broke something in the fuel system, but a very cool looking car. This thing has a great stance, slotted mags, slicks sticking out just right on the back, and then on the interior, this thing is super clean. You can see those low back bucket seats, detachable old school steering wheel, tack on the dash, fuzzy dice off the mirror. This thing's got a cool look to it. Now this one is just a plain old hot rod right here. This is a 33 or maybe a 34 Ford, 3-window coupe, and you can see it's got a cool chop top, Lexan windows with the sliders, and then it has a very nicely fabricated hood and hood sides with those louvers. You can see that Hilburn scoop poking out of the hood, the cool grill panel with those punched holes. This thing's got the greatest old school look. It's got a perfect stance. It's got great big slicks on the back with slotted mags. You can see this thing's pretty serious too. And he was out there making some passes getting this thing dialed in. Here's another really cool hot rod, and check out that quick change rear end. And this thing is really slick. A little roadster pickup. You can see it's got drag radials on the back, red steel wheels, and then up here we got tried and true small block Chevy, 3 carburetors, open headers, and just a really cool simple hot rod, and it was for sale. Now the kids really love these, a Volkswagen Beetle and this Volkswagen van with the camper setup. This thing was super clean, and luckily they had the door open so that we could see inside of there, and the kids and myself were just blown away with all the cool stuff here. The passenger seat turns around backwards, you got a sink, you've got a chair right here like a couch, you got speakers, and then of course up top you got a bed. This thing is a super clean and super cool setup that's straight out of the 70s. You can see that plaid interior, of course that greenish yellow color. I mean, this thing is like stepping back in time, and it's super cool and in very great condition. Isaac got a big kick out of this station wagon, which has been turned into a drag car, but you can see on the quarter windows there it says Long Arm of the Law. This thing is fully set up with sirens and flashing lights. It puts on a show, and it's a pretty neat piece. Here's a pretty cool looking second generation Camaro, and I always like these cars because when they're rough around the edges like this, you just never know what they're going to do. This one made pretty good power. You can look at that small block Chevy. It's got a big old Dominator carburetor on it, and this thing did pretty good out on the track. You can see it's got a little rust around the back windows. This is definitely not a perfect car, but still very cool. Moving through the pits, there were some modern drag cars, which I'm not showing very much of, but some really cool old school stuff like this altered Roadster, real clean looking big block in there, good looking old car, and then a 56 Chevy that's kind of set up for old school super stock. You can see the SS markings there, Wildcat lettered on the quarter panel, and I like that it's just got some plain old steel wheels on the back with some slicks. Really neat looking combination. One of the absolute coolest things on the property was this miniature monster truck called the Wild Child. Now, this thing was completely hand built. It uses a fiberglass body, but the rest of this thing was built at home in a little garage in Georgia. This thing is so cool. And the reason it was built is because the guy's son loved monster trucks so much that he built him one of his own. So this thing was built in the early 90s, and it has a lot of cool stuff. It has a completely scratch-built frame built out of 2x4 mild steel tubing. It has a Kawasaki Ninja 600cc crotch rocket engine, and it has Dana 30 axles out of a CJ5 Jeep. It has 4-wheel drive, and it has 4-wheel steering. This thing makes about 75 horsepower, and it's geared so incredibly low that it'll only do about 35 miles an hour. So this thing was built for a kid, and that kid grew up and then sort of passed it down to his kid. So we saw him driving this thing around, and you can see him going down through the pits with the rear steer, crab walking. That is so cool that this thing has functional 4-wheel steering, and then he even took this thing down the drag strip. So really cool experience to blast this thing down the 8th mile. Now, in one of my last videos from Paradise Dragstrip, I showed you guys a really cool Mustang. And I'm going to show it to you again, and that's only because I actually got to talk to the owner and the driver of this car, and it was just a great experience. And I enjoyed spending some time with him, hearing some of his stories and some of his experiences with this car. And the really cool part about this thing is that he bought it brand new. Now, the owner of this car, his name is Terry Woodbridge, and he has been racing this car basically since it was new. I mean, he did drive it around some when it was new, but for the most part, this has been a toy. It's been a drag car, and it's been a stock eliminator car, which means that it doesn't have very many modifications. They have a very strict rule book to follow, and this is a factory 302 two-barrel car with air conditioning. And that puts this thing in an unusual weight bracket and horsepower bracket, so it puts it very low in stock eliminator. But it still has a lot of cool tricks on the suspension. It's got a 543 gear in the back. I mean, it's got some really neat stuff, and the fact that he's been drag racing this thing for the better part of 50 years is really cool. And it still looks so good. The tire and wheel package is really cool, And that bright red paint, that is the original paint. He said this car has been garaged since 1973. And even though he's drag raced it, he still took very good care of it, and he has preserved this thing to the best of his ability, and it shows. And I'm so glad I got to spend a little time with Terry and learn a little bit more about this very special car.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
So I told you guys that we brought the Henry J out for its very first outing at the drag strip, and this was amazing. It was one of the best days of my life, and I'm going to go into more detail on that in a future video, but I wanted to give you a little glimpse of the car because you guys haven't even seen this thing with the front end on it. You know, there's a lot of detail work that I've done over the winter, so there's a lot to catch up on, and I will do that in a future video very, very soon. But I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what it looks like here in the pits and a little bit of a soundbite here to get you fired up.